Calculations regarding Chapter 14 with buffers and titration, there are three types of problems that can be present. The first is calculating the pH of a buffer equation. For this one, we just have to plug in what we have for the initial concentration of the base and the acid into the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. However, another thing that we can be required to do is calculating the pH after adding an acid or a base. The first step we have to do is understand which part of it will react to neutralize the added component. If a strong base is added, then the acid component will neutralize it and vice versa. Then we have to react that added component that will neutralize it with the and form an equation of how this will change. And then we have to make a table similar to an ice table, but different. And then lastly, once we have done that, when we know the concentrations of the base and the acid, we can plug the values into the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. Lastly, another thing we can be asked to do is to calculate the pH after the acid-base titration. The first thing we would have to do is find the moles of the acid, then the moles of the base, and then the total volume. We would often be told the molarity and the volume, and then from there we have to calculate moles. The second thing we would have to do is to write the equation down. In this equation, we will find which components are present at the end of the reaction. Then we would have a table to understand the values at the end of the reaction. We find the components present after the reaction. Then we use the total volume to calculate the final molarity of the component present, and then find its pH using the components we have already learned about. For instance, if it's a strong acid or strong base, we use the minus log concentration of H3O plus or OH minus. If it is a buffer solution, such as weak acid and a strong base, or a weak base and a strong acid, then we would use the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. And if it's conjugate base or conjugate acid, we would use the formulas present for weak acids or weak bases.